Well, today I'm standing once again on our main line in our front loop of the railroad. And today we thought we'd take you around the parts of the railroad that we have completed. It's a little muddy today, so I'm not sure how far we're going to be able to get. But we have a map here, a very simple map that kind of shows you the layout of the whole railroad. We're going to show you some different points along the line. And then I'm going to make an attempt to explain why we put the track where we put it, obstacles we were trying to avoid or go around, hills that we had to either cut through or go around. So it's kind of a topography video. So without further ado, here's our simple little map that we've come up with. And this shows the entire railroad. Down below here is our front loop. It shows our yard area with our buildings, our initial front loop that we built 2 years ago, which would have been 2022. When we first started the railroad, we weren't sure we'd do the whole thing. We thought we would start with the front loop and see how the whole project went, and then as that became more successful and as we were happy with how it turned out, we decided to go ahead and add the rest of the plan, the master plan, into the mix. So moving on, we've got our front loop. We've got the connecting line, our main line that we'll be stopping along this route in quite a few places to kind of show you what it looks like and explain how we came up with this track plan. And then as we get up around this part of the railroad, we're climbing. This is obviously the hill, the top of the hill, where our second loop will be. This is the hill that leads to it. This is about a 3.5% grade from this point all the way up to the top of the hill here. Our big cut that we've featured in several other videos is located right here. We've got our 6-foot, 7-foot berm all the way around this corner that we've been working on for several weeks now. And this is all ready for track. So there'll be some track videos coming up shortly showing that. Once we get up to the top of the hill at a place that we're calling Summit, basically the top of the hill, we have a left-handed number 6 switch going in here, which will start branching off this part of the loop off to the east, around, and then back, and then it reconnects. So at the end of the construction of this railroad, we will eventually have 2 balloon tracks. This already is set up as a balloon track here. This track here, because it was our original loop, we never thought we'd finish it, is not a balloon track yet. But we may be making some changes to this track plan in this area to connect this up so we can have a continuous running from end to end. So follow along with us, and we will be stopping at several places to show you where we're at and how we got there. So we've moved a little ways down the track here around one of our first curves. We started right here with our tour at our main grade crossing where our driveway comes in. We've now come around this curve and we're looking at this area here. It's the tallest berm we have on the front loop. And it takes us from a high spot here, the highest spot on the loop, around to just above the level of the creek. There's a creek that runs through here, cuts across the back part of the forest here, and then cuts across another area that we'll show you later on the other main line. But we wanted to kind of show you this area because it's taking us down about 15 feet from here around this loop to here. So this is another 3.5% grade with a curve involved in it. And so, and this is an area, again, this whole loop was built in 2022. So all of this trackage was pretty much done the same year. In fact, I'm standing about 5 feet away from our golden spike. We had a golden spike ceremony here honoring the first loop being completed. And we ended track laying for the year right about in this area where I'm standing. So now we'll go down around the corner here and we'll show you our little S curve next. One other thing I wanted to show you is the south side of this berm that I just talked about. And as you can see on this side of it, which is the same side as where the creek is, directly behind the camera, we've started adding boulders here to beef up the edge of this so we don't lose as much soil over time as an erosion control. We've only done one side of the track. We haven't done the other side. We thought we'd start with the side closest to the creek. This creek has flooded in the past. We're not sure, you know, how high it really would ever get, but right now we're probably sitting about 7 feet above the creek bed. So it probably would never come up this high, but just as a precaution, and also, like I said, to help with erosion, we've started adding these boulders. So I just wanted to show you that. We'll move on now down to our little S-curve. So now we've moved down the track about 200 feet or so, and we are located right here. And this is behind, there's a hill here, and we're behind the hill right, I'm standing right in front of our S-curve. We got a little S-curve that happens here as the track winds back behind our shop and our lounge building here and storage buildings. So we're about halfway around the loop right now. And so this area, we had to cut out a lot of trees. There was a lot of trees in here. And I'm standing on what once was a slope from this side, from your left to your right, all the way down to the creek. The creek's probably 50 feet away here. And so this was kind of tough going. That's one of the reasons we put the S-curve in. We were trying to avoid cutting as many large trees as we possibly could. And that was the easiest way to work our way through this topography. So I'm going to stand out of the way and you can take a look at our S-curve. Okay, I've walked down probably another 300, 400 feet down the track. We are now located right here on our front loop. This is the sharpest curve on the loop. We haven't measured the degree on this curve yet, so I can't tell you what it is, but it is the sharpest curve. And this is an area where we started cutting out the bank here on the left side of the camera. This whole bank was cut out all the way around. We originally were going to put the track down in the valley down there about 100 feet away, but we decided to keep it up high. We thought that someday we would build another main line that would be down lower so you could see trains running up here and you could see trains running down there. However, that plan got changed as well. We did build the other main line, but it's further away, so you'd never be able to see it from this track, especially with all the foliage. But this is almost halfway up the hill. Off to my left, you can't see it because of the brush, but the hill continues all the way up to where our buildings are. So we did a lot of cutting through here. And again, there was a lot of trees involved. We do have photos and stills of that process, and we will be showing some of that later on in another video. So we're always going to keep adding more and more information to these videos. So now we're going to take a walk down to the other corner in the northwest corner of our loop, and we'll show you where the new main line comes off and kind of explain how we thought that through. Okay, we've moved around now to the final spot that we're going to show you today on our main front loop, and we're in the northwest corner of the loop. We open up our map here. We are right here, and this is where we've got our number 6, our left-handed number 6 switch, which throws us out onto the main line here, where we'll be going next. And so like I said before, the reason we put this here is because we didn't know that we were going to continue with our main line. Otherwise, we would have made this We would have brought a track in this way instead, more than likely, and turned this into a balloon track, basically. Now, we're standing here, and about 150 feet to the south is the next number 6 left-handed switch, which goes into our north yard lead. We're going to cover the yard in another video and why we laid it out the way we did. But suffice it to say, this is the lead-in to the new main line, and this is actually pretty flat ground. It's relatively low, it's very wet here, and as you go around the corner, it starts to go downhill into an area that we call the swamp. It's a watershed kind of area, right where the creek that I talked about before also flows across this track again, and we'll show you where that is too. Well, that's going to end it for part 1 of this 2-part series on the route of the railroad, showing where we're going, where we're at, trying to orient all of you to our new map, our little map we've made. We've made it a little more than a third of the way around the whole railroad. We're going to continue in the next episode with the center part of the railroad, involving the 2 cornfields that the railroad goes through, and there's a big berm across our wetland area there, our swamp area we call it, and then working our way up and around to the big hill and probably ending at the big cut area up there. You've all seen that before, but there's a lot of changes that have happened on the big cut since you saw it last. So that'll be coming up in our next episode. So if you like our content, don't forget to smash the like button, and please remember to subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.